are so other thing. That's how it works. That's how they. And I'm even going to bar as if you will look at our government, you look at the atrocity of our voting, how the backroom deals and stuff. Nobody was paying attention. America got comfortable. People got comfortable, and it allowed the enemy to come in and sow tares. I'm going to take it all the way back. It could be farther than this, but for me, just observing, it goes back. Nobody was paying attention to when Barack Obama was coming in, when they didn't stop to go, wait a minute, here's who's running for president, but he turns his back on the American flag and refuses to do the Pledge of Allegiance. They big red flag right there to go, wait a minute. So they put him in for all the other reasons that would be, this will be the first black president. This will be and it's like, you're not paying attention to the picture here. So that's how they get it. And when we take that and relate it into relationships, okay, when people get caught up in sick relationships, that's how it works as well. When people pine away, I'm so lonely, I need to get married, especially you hear it around Christmas time, when it's like, I want a boyfriend for Christmas, I want a girlfriend for Christmas, so let's get married on Christmas Eve. And you've seen all the Hallmark Christmas movies push that. So they have that going on, but there are people in the church that are desperate to get married, desperate for a partner. Now, I understand that, but you don't want to go in desperate, because if you go in desperate, you're so desperate that you will ignore red flags. You will ignore your discernment. And there are people that are out there that the enemy, when they knows that your guard is down, that will come into your life for the sole purpose to come into your field and destroy your harvest, your walk with the Lord, just destroy your whole world that you have, and you got to start all over again. So, and the interesting thing about tares is that when they plant tares, they don't plant them anywhere. They look for really good ground, really good soil. So they will look for somebody whose walk is really in the Lord, not someone that, poor me, because there's no ground, there's no foundation. When you've got good, healthy foundation, it's like an attraction, and they want to go and destroy it. The enemy does. So with that, moving along, when the servants asked the master, the farmer, and asked him, you want us to tear out the tares? And he said, no, let them grow, and then we'll get them after everything's grown. If you've ever seen, I have a picture, but I maybe and what the picture is, it shows the tares sticking up in among the wheat. And at first, they say that the tares look wheat. But the interesting thing about the wheat is, and this is how I was able to understand why the Lord said, leave it until it's fully grown. Because when the wheat grows and it grows to its maturity, immediately will lay down. It will immediately lay down to its side and kind of lay right down and prepares itself for harvest. However, the tares do not. The tares stand straight up, straight up. They don't lay down. So once the wheat lays down, and all you see in your field is nothing but the tares, and they're everywhere. And you think to yourself, how exactly what it said, how did this happen? Well, the enemy came. Well, when did that happen? Well, while you were sleeping. You are not to be asleep. The Bible talks about that. Stay awake, be alert, beware. Always be looking. You look with your discernment. Have your discernment. And we have done that. And there's Christians that have gotten caught up with that. They meet someone, and I'm not saying just boyfriend and girlfriend or even in a marriage. I'm talking about meeting somebody, a friend, a coworker, anything like that. Anyone that you let into your life, you have got to have discernment with them. And, that's important. The other thing I'd like to bring to your attention, go over, let me grab this here, my homework and everything. And we will, okay, now I'm going to talk about, you hear, and a lot of people get that mixed up when they say you got to uh, separate the wheat from the chaff, and they're like, oh, that's the tares. It's like, no, no, it's not the tares. Chaff is different. If anyone, and I'm sure there's plenty on here and out there that have livestock, you know about chaff, and I'll explain that. The definition: chaff is the husk of corn or other seed separated by winnowing or threshing. It's chopped. It's chopped hay and straw used as fodder. Worthless things. It's trash. It's like the skin, the husk on the seed, and you got to take it off, right? Because it's you don't eat that. It's just garbage. You get okay. So what is winnowing? So winnowing is a form of blowing. They blew off the chaff and the grain. Um, Farmers want to move all the chaff from the wheat. In the lateral meaning, chaff is the husk around a seed, which a person does not eat. In order to eat wheat, you must remove the chaff. Now, when they say winnowing, which we know is blowing, threshing is another way, which is separating the grain from a plant. And so that's a little bit different. But that also pertains to a kind of a way that the tares are being used. Chaff is like when people throw it in, it's like a filler. And when I was reading about chaff, they were saying sometimes they mix it up in the hay and in like horse feed, livestock feed, and that eats the hay and grain and stuff as a filler to make them feel full, but it's nothing. It's trash. It's garbage. It's you know. So you think about that in a relationship. Is somebody giving you wheat, the whole grain, the good seed, or are they giving you the grain mixed with chaff? Chaff needs to be removed from that. You see in our foods today how much is real when you start to really look at those and everything. How much of that food is real, and how much of it is stuff that they can in a laboratory and said, oh, this is created food. This isn't food, that God provided. No, it's food that we created, and you eat that. It's like almost feeding somebody that chaff, that garbage, that trash. I don't know if there's it doesn't say that there's any um uh health properties or it's good for you or anything like that. But they remove it. So if they have to remove it, that must mean, it's no good. It's garbage. How much how much chaff is mixed in with our government? Where I keep hearing the word bloat when I think of chaff. That it's just bloat. It's just no good. It's just garbage. It's just to inflate things. Like when you see GMOs, remember, and they would try to, and that other thing where they try to make uh, the vegetables and stuff look like 10 times bigger than what they were, and it was all toxic. That's what it reminds me of, really, is what chaff does. And even relationship, much chaff are you getting with a friendship, with a true friendship? And until then, so I believe it started. That caused me to think, if I would do that, they moved the chaff from the wheat. What about those that remember that we would do the gleaning? They would leave all that stuff for the poor, widows, do the gleaning, and they would pick all that up. Was that already separated from them, or did they have to go in and take off the chaff as well? Chaff is similar to a tare in the sense that it's bad. It You're supposed to separate yourself from that. And with the tare is there to destroy. Since I've really gotten into my word, the Lord has really gotten me into, because it was driving me crazy. I do have, on my podcast, I've been talking about it, and I will be doing a show on it, maybe one or two, part one, part two. But there are so many people are labeled now forever. Can't just say to someone, "Hey, you know what? You're spoiled brat." That's what your problem is. You're just selfish. You never learn to share. Or, you learn that at home, and then, like, starting in kindergarten, you got to share your toys. You got to share things. And you're just not anymore. If you have one single thing, if you're spoiled, if you're just a brat or a bratty person, um, or you, just typical things where you're a poor sport and you throw a temper tantrum, you're a poor sport. You're automatically labeled with a personality disorder. Okay, see, I can go two ways. I can put on, which I did on my podcast, I put on my counselor's hat and I spoke about the terms of what everything is, these personality disorders and everything. And as I kept going, I mean, they have this is this, and this is this, and this is today. If you are spoiled, today, if you are not everything else, but you're just a selfish person, greedy, or you you know, self-seeking, you're automatically labeled a narcissist. If you are someone who has caused physical abuse, you are a narcissist. Everybody, everything is a narcissist. Everything. It has driven me crazy because it's not accurate. Wearing the counselor's hat to go through all those personality disorders. It would be no different than to say, take something that, if there is a trait um, with autism, there are many, not all, but there are many that have, traits of ADHD, and they said that sometimes it's not uncommon for someone with autism to have traits of ADHD. But that's not a constant thing. There are children who have autism who do not have traits of ADHD, but they automatically assume this. Or they assume that kids who have ADHD that may fidget and may fidgety with their hands, oh, they're stimming, they have autism. And it's like, stop it. You gotta stop just diagnosing people according to, you know, what you read in the book and, oh, this is this and this is, and there's so many people, so many life coaches and self-proclaimed experts out there that are making a killing. And when I against it, these people just, I mean, fangs and fingernails come out at me, and they don't want to listen when I try to take it and go, let's look at the biblical side of it as well, what it is. Looking at tares. Toxic people are tares. Toxic people are chaff. They don't need to be in your life. You need to get rid of them. This is what tares do in your life. This is what it's a spirit. And you need to remove that. It's toxic. You need to get it out of your life. You need to watch out for that. People don't want it. They don't want to hear of it. All I want to say is, oh, that person who doesn't share, they are a narcissist. This is a narcissist. This is not. And I thought, this is nuts. So, no, they're tares. People that come into your life that want to, that see your walk, that see how founded you are in the Lord. They see that, and their sole purpose, the enemy sends them in, is to destroy your harvest, destroy your walk, plant it all over in your good soil, and just ruin everything. That's their goal. Our responsibility is to make sure that we that we stay focused, that we think about David. David was an excellent shepherd. Why? Because even though he danced and he played his music and he was worshiping the Lord, he was always aware that if an animal was coming around, or if some stranger was coming around, if there was a wolf, whatever, he protected those sheep. And he was always alert to it. So that's how we need to be. And we haven't been. And we've got lazy, we got comfortable, we got complacent. Well, you know what? 2023 is a year of revival. It's the year that we take all this knowledge now that we're learning, and there are so many people that are fighting against it now. So you know that you're going in the right direction. It's time that we stay, that we start fighting back, and we start going and watching all night, all day, paying attention to your surroundings, wearing your biblical lenses at all times, because the world is going to show you what it wants to show you and say, this is good, this is bad. And then when you put your biblical lenses on, you see that, wow, this is bad, but this is good. Everything the opposite. So it's best to always make sure your biblical lenses are clean and focused, and you have on, even when situations where you look at situations, excuse me, and of course, naturally, we look at things where, say, if a check bounced or something like that, or you didn't get a job that you were hoping to get, those kinds of things. That's life, but you had it biblically. If you look at those situations biblically, you can just turn it around for the good and say, that wasn't my job. That wasn't meant for me. Keep trying. Or, something must have went haywire at the bank. Let's take 2 minutes and look at it, instead of taking the worldly way and start panicking and freaking out and everything else. Now, we all get into our emotions. It's how we react. But today, with this stepping into this new year, this is how we have to approach things. Remember, there's always, when they say the devil prowls around like a lion seeking who he can devour, that's a tare. Just think of it, is that they're walking around scanning, like scanning land, whose land is good? Is that pretty good land there? And then they make their move to try to either sneak in or get to know you and get in that way. So I don't know who said it, but they said it was somewhere during the Korean War, or when it happened during the Pearl time. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge of that, but what I do know is that we said that you cannot invade America from the outside because there's a gun behind it of grass. But the only way you can take down the United States is from within. And that is where we lazy didn't take that on board. And now we're as far as it's gone, but we know that this kind of thing was coming anyway. But today I really take what I'm saying and take it on board in your walk. Be mindful. Walk. Listen. Do a lot of listening and praying and discernment of situations. And watch your people. Watch your circle, because not everybody in your boat is rowing with you. And I know these are these motivational speaker sayings, but it's true. There's not everybody who's in your boat is for you. There are people there that are jealous of you or just set out from the enemy to take you down, that they're in the boat trying to holes so you sink. It's a tear. That's a spirit. So as a counselor, okay, pastoral counselor, which is kind of knowing the best of you, I would really advise, stick with the Bible. Okay, yeah, you can read about what the world says about mental personality disorders, but then when you line it up with the Bible, the Lord pretty much calls it very quickly. It's a spirit. It has to be cast out. You don't pat it on the head. You don't sit down and have coffee with it and discuss it. You cast it out. And today, I read a meme and I thought, well, you are so right. Today, they call sickness needs therapy. No, you need to deal with that, repent of it, and cast it out. Cast it out. Quit wasting time. Quit dealing with that. And here, I'm a counselor. And I have had to seek God as all this started really coming at me, seeing this and this, and I'm going, Lord, but the word says this. So as a counselor, it's been really challenging for me these last few weeks and dealing with people, because you see how much they cling to victimhood. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they don't want help. They don't want to be helped. They want to stay in their victim mentality. And they cling to it. They want to go to a counselor because they want to talk about how bad their life is. But when you try to bring in and you try to bring in solutions, which is what I do, I'm a solution-focused counselor. We deal with it and we find solutions and goals to get you out of your situation. That's the goal. They don't want that. They want to stay in their situation. And then they want to see, as I call them, the candy man, or to go in and get their prescriptions, their antidepressants, their anti-anxiety medication. Oh, and they diagnose themselves. Oh, I have ADHD. Oh, give me some Ritalin. They already know. They want that, and they say, I can't deal with life without this. And it's like, well, have you ever tried seeking the Lord on this? He can heal you from it. He can heal you from it. I got told this, no lie, from someone. She said to me, God has nothing to do with any of this. I went back and I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you lost me when you said God has nothing to do with this. God has everything to do with it. Don't get caught up in that. Stick with what the word says. Learn more. Research your Bible. Go to these scriptures today. Research more about the tares and the wheat, how it affects our lives when you look at it that way. And how the whole process of why the chaff has to be separated, because it's not good for you. You don't eat that. It's trash. Don't let somebody bring chaff into your life. Okay? Don't let friends bring chaff into your life. It's not good for you. It's garbage. Get rid of it. That's when the Lord brings you to a point where he takes people out of your life. They could just be chaff. They could be tares. And so that's how we have to look at it. And so I pray that you take this on. And I pray that God gives you ears to hear what the Spirit is speaking today. That we all take this on, and it helps us to see things so much better, clearly. And as a counselor, when you hear people say, narcissist, oh, this person's this, okay, from a counselor standpoint, and you're going to go into that, clinical and all that, okay. But I truly stay in the Word. Stay in the Word. There's healing there, and you will get more truth out of it than what you will get in a clinical setting. So we're going to close today, and I pray that you continue to keep your lamps full, stay booted and suited, and until next week, this is High Octane.